Hey everybody, Mike Warren with the Academy of Martial Studies, back again. One of my students, Manuel, actually asked a few questions about an ancient Japanese farm implement, the nunchaku, aka nunchucks. Michelangelo's favorite little weapon if you're liking the turtles of the Teenage Mutant and Ninja variety. However, my last pair, my collapsible pair, I gave away as a gift, so in order to cover some of the basic swings and stuff he was asking from the Okinawan arts of Kobudo, I decided to improvise, much like the Okinawans would have back then. So I figured I'd hammer out a few of the basics. So essentially, these just two hammers, some packing tape, so I'm not going to be doing anything really fancy or anything really fast with these. I just wanted to show him some of the basic swings, so I figured I'd get into that. To start with, these were initially used to hammer in nails, but the nunchaku version were used as rice flails. So they would have a stick tied to another stick and they would flail rice with it, knock the stuff loose. It worked out really great during the harvest, and they found out if you hit someone upside the head with it, it had some pretty impressive results as well. So to start, you have your flail ends, which are also your handles, and rope, chain, all kinds of different materials. In this case, just some weak packing tape that's been wrapped around a few times and hopefully won't rip off and put any holes in the wall, break windows, or my computer monitor behind me. But you get the basics. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to show some of the basic holds, a couple basic swings, and how to start practicing to learn to make yourself more adept with a pair of nunchaku. So to start with, generally speaking, every art has their own way of entry. Some will have the nunchaku in one hand, will bow with a chambered fist. Some will then bring it out, get in their ready stance. And with the nunchaku here, it's really just a matter of your art's customs more than anything. So I'm going to turn this camera sideways here. Hopefully it won't mess up your viewing pleasure too much. Oh, apparently I can't while I'm recording. So I guess I'll just keep it upright and I'll try to keep it in the camera frame. So to start with, the basics of the fighting stance are similar to your upright fighting stance, fukajasi if you're studying some Tang Soo-do, or a fighting stance that you would have from like Jeet Kune Do where you're set back and relaxed, but you may have it in one or two hands. Now the basics of this are really simple. You want to hit across the temporal artery area, try to bust that open, kill the person before they even hit the ground. Hit across the face, you have the nose, anything that reaches for you, you hit. You can swing it downward or upwards. Not only that, but when it's in your hand, if it's two sticks in one, you can hit that way, you can jab. You can use the chain or the rope or whatever's in between the two implements as a catching or blocking device just by crossing them at the bottom with this grip. Opens this up and I'm able to catch weapons and stuff too, depending upon what I have in for the center. So with that included, the basics will first start with how to hit, trap, block, and disarm. And that's very similar to what you'd use for a kobutan or even a short wooden tanto-sized weapon. So it's a simple stick. Now, the flailing aspects of it are designed so that if somebody's executing a block or trying to stop it, it can whip around and still hit them. So see my arm there, it goes boom, right on around, still hit your opponent. Not only that, by using both ends, I can hit, wrap, and trap. I can block with the center area, make a loop, and actually wrap it around somebody's arm, wrist, and whatnot. So if I take some of those basic motions, like a sword cut, so if I am cutting upward, turning, and cutting down an opponent behind me, I can use that same motion with nunchaku with trapping upward, wrapping over the wrist of my opponent, still turning, executing that cut, and that's actually going to take the person's arm, twist it up behind them, and flip them. You'll see their eyeballs, you'll see the heels of their feet. It's kind of an addictive thing when you start throwing buddies around. It's a lot of fun. What most people are familiar with are all the really fancy things. You know, they'll spin it from the center, they'll take and wrap it up, which is basically holding close to the chain, rolling it across your hand, using that momentum so that when this drops around, it comes into your palm again, so I can use it inverted. Same basic motions. Think like an X. You have horizontal strikes, vertical strikes, upwards and downwards. And you'll notice I'm using my armpit to catch those because the basics of first learning nunchaku isn't necessarily going out and swinging and going nuts and pretending you're Bruce Lee. Although fun, start with the fun ones if you're going to do that because you will hit yourself a lot. But to learn to control it, a lot of the first strikes would start from the chambering for shoulder, vertical grip. And what they would do is they would swing, say at an angle 1, which is coming if you're making an X from the outside, or an angle 2, which is coming from the inside. And what they will do is they'll come back to chamber. So notice when I'm swinging once, I'm catching it. Chamber the other side. Swing, catch. And this is a start to teach the student how to control the weapon. Now I've got the nail claws in the back of this, so it adds a little extra fun to it, but again, I can switch, rolling it. So I can have a top grip, roll it across, up. I have a bottom grip, so then I can take and chamber, swing down, catch, swing up to chamber, swing down, up, catch, down, and tuck. From here, I can continue to go downward and over the shoulder. I can catch it and go upwards as well. So what makes this sneaky is because you're flailing, you really don't know which angle it's going to come from. This basic angles are usually cross to the hip and back. Once you're there, come up, cross to the hip, and back. All right, so that's the basics. So I'm going to do a few of these from behind just so you can see the basic motion off of these, okay? So from here, if I'm set, chamber, to the hip, and back. I can bring it upward to switch sides. Once I have a grip, chamber, hip, and back. Instead of just catching here, I can bring it under the arm. I can come vertical and back, bring it under the arm, and I can swing it upward too, and back. From the other side, under the arm. Again, these are hammers, so it's a little awkward. Come vertical or upwards. And the idea behind that upward swing is it's really just kind of like a jab. It just kind of whips out there. It's really nasty when you catch somebody on top of the head or anywhere along here, they're going to bleed. It's going to open them up. It's really nasty when you get into it. But it's not just the vital areas that you want to consider. Anything that reaches out towards you is fair game. So a hand coming at you, a knife, something in as a weapon. When you're hitting, you also have horizontal strikes. So it goes to the hip, back to chamber. I can come horizontal to the other side. Once I get a hold of it, I can come back here, swing up, chamber, then I can swing down, and that's when we start getting into our figure eights, which is just flailing in multiple directions till I feel like tucking it. Fancier guys will learn to strike people in between the legs. I recommend caution at that because it's really at an angle when it drops below the thigh, okay? So in a nutshell, nunchaku are fun. There's a lot of history behind this farm tool, or in this case, construction tools, improvise. And it really was the spirit of Okinawan Kobudo to improvise with whatever kind of weapons they have, the kama. I'll do a video maybe in a day or so with those. And those are really just for cutting rice. Stick, sharp curved blade, like miniature scythe. Mine are called Law and Order, just because I thought it was fun. But they were farm tools, all of them. The sai, the big, pokey metal blade looking weapons that aren't always sharpened, were used initially poking holes so that you could put your rice seeds in. And they learned that when some guy's coming at you with a sword or something that you don't want to hit you like a spear, you can use that to catch and break by going against the strong point of the blade, catching it at the narrow side and snapping it instead of going from spine to edge. So in the spirit of Okinawans, as they were back in the day when they were attacked by the samurai learned to respect them because these farmers used whatever was on hand to whip their ass, in a nutshell. Now, we already talked about the nutcracker in there, Tanya, but I could probably use the head of this particular tool in that fashion quite well. So some of the things that we do, once we get comfortable with our basic upward, I'm just making a figure eight from the side, up nice and relaxed and smooth. When I'm ready, I chamber, I pull from the bottom upward. When I'm ready, I chamber. Now from here I can go downward, same motion, just making a big elongated figure eight. I come under, flick, flick. From here, cross over to the other side and just do the same thing again. Nice, easy, relaxed, simple motion. Come under, can flick, can hit up, and then you'll start learning how to catch it with one hand. You'll swing out, forward, up, catch. Switch sides, out, forward, up, catch. And that's mostly to just develop your manual dexterity to get you used to these weapons and stuff. So thanks for tuning in. It's really short. Again, any of my students ask to learn about something, I'm more than happy to share whatever I was able to be blessed with from the people that taught me. I'll order a proper set of nunchaku in some time, and we'll probably keep these around because I'm kind of hammering in the key points here, if you pardon the pun. If not, I can pull those nails out later and hopefully undo any damage. But you get the idea. take what's on hand and try to make it work. That's the basics of it. So if you guys got questions and stuff, as always, tappingwon'tsaveyou.com. Hit up my YouTube channel, and make sure you go to the Academy of Martial Studies here on Facebook if you haven't already. Give out some love, share out some likes. And if you guys got questions, comments, or just want to see training techniques, methods, weapons, customs, any kind of questions you guys have, want to understand philosophy, the history, whatever, hit us up. That's what we're there for, studying the martial ways. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great time. Woos.